Hi, welcome to FinFlow Podcast. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something you've almost certainly heard, maybe even believed yourself. It's this sentence, this deeply ingrained belief that just seems to float around everywhere. You hear it from, parents, grandparents, friends.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Even those like motivational speakers sometimes shout it from the stage. And millions, maybe billions, they just quietly accept it.
And that sentence is?
Renting is just throwing money away.
Ah, yes. The classic.
Exactly. It sounds so simple, right? So clear-cut. Almost like, I don't know, gravity or something.
Yeah.
A law of nature.
It does have that feeling of absolute truth, doesn't it? Like it's just self-evident.
But hang on. Let's actually, stop and think about that for a second. If it is that absolute, if renting is always throwing money away,
And logically.
then every single person who rents is making a terrible mistake. A foolish choice.
Billions of people, potentially.
Yeah. Millions. Think about that. Students, young professionals, people living in expensive cities, retirees, downsizing. Are they all being foolish?
It seems unlikely, let's say, when you put it like that.
Right. The world's just not that black and white. Surely not every renter is making a poor financial decision. It just doesn't stack up.
No. Life's much more complex than that. And financial situations certainly are.
So the truth, and this is what we're really going to dig into today,
Yeah.
is way more nuanced and actually quite liberating when you look at it differently.
Definitely.
We're going to take apart this myth, piece by piece, show why renting isn't necessarily throwing money away, why it's actually often a very smart exchange.
In exchange for value.
Exactly. An exchange for something incredibly valuable, maybe even more valuable than owning the walls around you.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. Okay, so first things first, let's really deconstruct this core idea, this foundational myth.
Right. The throwing money away part.
Yeah. It really comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding, I think, of what rent is, what you're actually paying for.
You've hit the nail on the head there. It's fascinating how our perception of value gets totally warped when it comes to housing, specifically housing.
How so?
Well, think about all the other things we pay for regularly. Services we use every day. We don't usually feel like we're wasting that money, do we?
Give me an example.
Okay, your electricity bill. Does anyone ever say, oh, paying for electricity is just throwing money away?
No.
Yeah.
Not unless the power company's really ripping them off, maybe.
Right. But generally, no. Because we understand intuitively we're not buying the power plant down the road.
We're buying the ability to turn the lights on, to charge our phones.
Exactly. You're paying for the use of electricity, the utility it provides, the benefit. That's the exchange.
Okay, I see that. And it applies elsewhere too, right?
Absolutely. Think about eating out. You go to a nice restaurant, have a great meal.
Making me hungry.
Huh. Well, when you pay the bill, you don't walk away owning a share of the restaurant or the chef's knives or the tablecloths.
Yeah, of course not.
You're paying for the food, sure, but also the service, the atmosphere, the convenience of someone else cooking and cleaning up. It's an experience, a service.
And you don't feel cheated because you don't own a piece of the kitchen.
Precisely. Same with your internet connection. You pay your monthly bill, you get access to the web. You're not buying the fiber optic cables under the street.
Or a movie ticket. You pay to watch the film, not to own a piece of the studio.
Right. It's payment for use, for access, for an experience, for a service. Temporary consumption, maybe, but it adds value.
So how does this tie back directly to rent? Because that's where people get stuck.
Because renting is exactly the same principle. This is the crucial distinction that gets lost in all the emotional noise about owning. When you pay rent,
You're not buying the building.
you are not buying the building. You are paying for the right to use it for a specific period.
Okay, the right to use the space.
Yes. You're
Yeah.
paying for the utility of that space, the shelter, the location, the convenience. You're paying for the benefit of having a safe, comfortable place to live without owning it.
So the money isn't just vanishing.
No, it's a direct exchange. You pay X amount, you receive Y benefit, the use of the home for that month. It's a service fee, just like your internet or your electricity.
That's a really helpful way to frame it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if rent is a payment for a service, what exactly are those services? What's the hidden value we're actually paying for? Because it's more than just four walls and a roof, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Way more.
Obviously, number one is shelter. Basic human need, security, protection. Rent guarantees that roof over your
The
head.
most fundamental part, yes.
But then location. This is huge, I think.
Massive, especially today.
Think about trying to buy an apartment or house right in the middle of a major city. or in that really desirable neighborhood near the good schools or close to your job.
For most people, forget it. The cost is astronomical.
Right. You might need millions up front or qualify for a mortgage that's just terrifyingly large, if you could even get it.
Yeah, it's often completely out of reach financially.
But renting. Renting makes those prime locations accessible. You could live downtown, walk to work, be near the cultural stuff, even if buying there is a pipe dream.
You're essentially paying for access to that location and the lifestyle that comes with it. That convenience, that proximity that has enormous value.
Definitely. And then there's flexibility. You mentioned how the world's changed.
This is renting's modern superpower, honestly. Our lives aren't static anymore. Careers change, relationships change, opportunities pop up unexpectedly.
So if you get that amazing job offer, but it's in another city or even another country.
If you're renting, what do? You check your lease, give your notice, pack your bags, and you go.
Relatively simple. Stressful, maybe. Packing always is, but straightforward.
Compare that to owning. Now you have to sell the house. That can take months, sometimes years in a slow market.
Oh, God, yeah. Dealing with agents, staging the house, open houses, negotiations falling through.
Closing costs, repairs demanded by the buyer. It's a massive, time-consuming, expensive, and incredibly stressful process.
You're basically anchored down by the property.
Exactly. Those mortgage chains, as you called them earlier. Renting cuts those chains. That freedom to move quickly, to seize opportunities, that's a form of wealth in itself in today's world.
It really is. Okay, what else is included in that rent check?
Well, the big one, maintenance and repairs. Or rather, the lack of responsibility for them.
Ah, yes, the homeowner's headache.
Precisely. If you're renting and the furnace dies in January,
You call the landlord?
if a pipe bursts and floods the bathroom,
Landlord?
if the roof starts leaking or the fridge gives up the ghost.
Landlord, landlord, landlord. It's their problem, their cost, their hassle to fix it.
Right, you don't get hit with a sudden, unexpected $5,000 bill for a new HVAC system or $15,000 for a new roof. That financial unpredictability is largely removed.
That peace of mind, that's worth a lot.
It absolutely is. Plus, freedom from property taxes. Those never end for homeowners.
Right, even after the mortgage is paid off, the tax bill keeps coming. Forever.
And freedom from long-term debt hanging over your head for 30 years. Freedom from constantly worrying about whether property values are going up or down.
It's like outsourcing a whole bunch of financial and emotional stress.
That's a perfect way to put it. You're paying, in part, for someone else to carry those burdens.
Okay, let's paint that picture you mentioned, the contrast.
Right. Imagine person A rents a nice, maybe smaller, but modern apartment right in the city center. They walk 10 minutes to work. Evenings, they're out enjoying cafes, parks, maybe a show. Weekends are theirs. Minimal commute costs. Stress levels are manageable.
Okay, sounds pretty good.
Now, person B, they desperately wanted to own, so they stretched, took on huge debt, and bought a house way out in the suburbs because that's all they could afford.
The affordable option.
Right. But now they commute 2 hours each way in traffic, burning gas, wearing out their car, thousands spent just getting to work.
Ugh, soul destroying.
And their weekends, gone. Mowing the lawn, fixing the leaky faucet, dealing with the old plumbing, maybe saving up frantically because the water heater looks like it's about to go. Unexpected repairs constantly eating into their savings.
Okay, yeah, I see the picture.
So who is really throwing money away there?
Yeah.
Is it person A paying rent for convenience, location, flexibility, and peace of mind? Or person B pouring time, energy, and unplanned cash into a property that dictates their entire life just for the sake of ownership?
When you put it like that,
Yeah.
the answer seems pretty obvious. It's not always the renter.
Often it's not. The value equation is much more complex than just owning versus not owning.
So why then? Why is this myth so persistent? Where did it even come from?
Well, that takes us into the societal roots. It's deeply cultural, this obsession with homeownership.
Oh, so.
In many cultures, especially Western ones, but also elsewhere, owning property is heavily equated with success. Stability, respectability, it's seen as a key milestone of adulthood.
Like you've made it once you buy a house.
Exactly. It's glorified. Think about advertising, movies. The happy family is always in their own home, usually with a white picket fence.
Yeah, the American dream trope.
Precisely. And you mentioned family pressure earlier. That question, Beta apna gar kablaj. Son, daughter, when will you buy your own home? That's incredibly common in South Asian families, for instance. It shows how deep this cultural fixation runs.
It creates this pressure cooker.
Totally. It sets up this false comparison. Owning equals good, smart, secure. Renting equals bad, temporary, wasteful.
Like you're somehow less of an adult if you rent.
Yeah, or less responsible. But here's the thing. This is largely a narrative, a story repeated so often we mistake it for objective truth.
A narrative. Pushed by whom? Why?
Well, think about who benefits from widespread homeownership. Banks, obviously. Mortgage lenders make huge profits from interest over decades.
Okay, yeah. Banks love mortgages.
The real estate industry, agents, brokers, developers. The construction industry, home improvement stores, furniture companies. Governments even benefit. Property taxes are a major source of revenue. And homeowners are often seen as more stable, invested citizens.
So there's a whole ecosystem that profits from this dream.
A massive ecosystem, and historically, especially post-WWII in the U.S., governments actively encouraged homeownership with subsidies, tax breaks, GI bills. It was seen as a way to build wealth, stability, and community.
So it wasn't necessarily malicious, but it served certain interests.
Exactly. It became this self-perpetuating cycle. Policy, industry, advertising, culture, they all reinforce this idea that owning is the only smart path. And that narrative has just drowned out rational analysis for a lot of people.
Making it hard to see renting as a valid strategic choice.
Very hard. It plays on our emotions, our desire for security, our fear of instability.
And it clearly ignores the logic sometimes. People say rent is gone forever, but they ignore the huge chunk of their mortgage payment that's just interest, especially early on. That's gone forever too, isn't it?
Absolutely. Often, for the first 5-10 years of a 30-year mortgage, the vast majority of your payment is interest going straight to the bank, not building equity.
But homeowners focus on the equity part. That feels tangible. I'm building something.
It's comforting psychologically, but here's the catch we need to unpack. Equity is not guaranteed wealth, and it's definitely not free money.
Right. A house isn't just an asset.
No. It's a massive liability, too. It constantly demands money, time, and attention. So this idea that mortgage payments are purely building equity is, well, it's an illusion, largely.
So when someone says rent is throwing money away, what they often mean is you don't end up owning the physical house.
Precisely. But like we said, with the restaurant meal or the electricity,
Yeah.
you don't end up with those things either. But were they wasted money?
No, they provided value,
Uh.
a status, an experience.
And rent does the same. It's a deliberate trade. You trade the potential and uncertain equity gain and the burdens of ownership for immediate benefits. Flexibility, location, peace of mind, freedom from repairs.
It's a different kind of value proposition.
Exactly. And one that, for many people in many situations, is actually the smarter financial and lifestyle choice.
Okay, let's dive deeper into that illusion of ownership.
Yeah.
Because the costs, they're often hidden, aren't they?
Right.
People focus on the mortgage payment, but that's just the start.
Oh, it's just the tip of the iceberg. A very, very large iceberg lurking beneath the surface.
What's the first big hidden cost?
Property taxes. We touched on them, but people vastly underestimate their impact.
They just seem like a small extra thing.
Initially, maybe. But they are relentless. Every single year, whether the market's up or down, whether you've got money or not, the tax bill arrives.
And it's not fixed, usually.
Nope. It's based on the assessed value of your home. If property values in your area go up, your assessment likely goes up, and boom, your tax bill jumps. Sometimes significantly.
So over 30 years.
You could easily pay tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars just in property taxes. Money that is completely gone. It doesn't build equity. It doesn't improve the house. It's just a pure cost of ownership.
Wow. Hundreds of thousands. It's sobering.
It is, and it's often completely overlooked by first-time buyers, dazzled by low interest rates, or the dream of owning.
Okay, taxes. What's next on the hidden cost list?
Maintenance and repairs. The homeowner's mantra. Something is always breaking.
Or about to break.
Exactly. It's not if your roof will need replacing, it's when. Same for the furnace, the water heater, the air conditioning, major appliances.
And these aren't small expenses. A new roof.
Easily $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 or more, depending on the size and materials.
New HVAC system.
$5,000 to $10,000 typically. Burst pipe leading to water damage, that can run into tens of thousands very quickly, even with insurance involved sometimes.
And it's not just the huge things, right?
No, it's the constant drip, drip, drip of smaller stuff, too. Fixing a running toilet, replacing a broken window, dealing with pests, painting, landscaping, cleaning gutters. It all adds up, time and money.
You really need a significant emergency fund just for house stuff.
Absolutely. Some experts recommend budgeting 1% to 3% of the home's value every single year just for maintenance.
1 to 3%. So on a, say, $400,000 house.
That's $4,000 to $12,000 a year. Every year.
Wow.
Over 20 years, that's potentially $80,000 to $240,000 just poured into upkeep. Again, money that's just gone. It's the cost of keeping the asset from falling apart.
People definitely don't budget for that when they're figuring out if they can afford the mortgage payment.
Almost never. They see the mortgage, maybe factor in taxes and basic insurance and think they're good. They completely ignore this massive, ongoing, and often unpredictable maintenance cost.
Okay, taxes, maintenance.
What else? Home insurance. It's mandatory if you have a mortgage, and essential even if you don't.
And it's different from renter's insurance.
Much different and much more expensive. Renter's insurance just covers your belongings. Homeowner's insurance has to cover the entire structure against fire, storms, theft, liability.
So the premiums are higher.
Significantly higher, hundreds or thousands per year. And often, standard policies don't cover things like floods or earthquakes. You need separate, costly riders for those.
Another constant drain.
Yes. Plus, utilities, often higher in owned homes.
Why is that?
Often simply because houses tend to be larger than apartments. More space to heat and cool. Also, older homes, which many people buy, often have poorer insulation, drafty windows, less efficient systems.
So your heating and cooling bills can be way higher.
Easily, electricity, gas, water, it all adds up to more than you might expect, especially compared to a potentially smaller, more modern rental unit.
Okay, this iceberg's getting pretty big. Taxes, maintenance, insurance, utilities.
And we haven't even gotten to the really interesting psychological part yet.
Which is?
Renovations and upgrades. The I own it, so I must perfect it syndrome.
The constant urge to improve.
Exactly. When you rent, if the kitchen is a bit dated or the bathroom tiles aren't your style, you usually just live with it, right?
Yeah.
It's temporary, not your problem.
Yeah, you don't feel the need to pour money into someone else's property.
But when you own it,
Uh,
oh, the temptation is powerful. This is my house. It needs to reflect me. It needs to be perfect.
so you decide the kitchen needs granite countertops.
And stainless steel appliances. And the bathroom needs a complete remodel. And hardwood floors throughout. And the backyard needs professional landscaping. And
Never ends.
it rarely does. Each project seems justifiable on its own, but cumulatively over years, people can sink tens, even hundreds of thousands into upgrades.
And do those upgrades actually pay off when you sell?
Here's the kicker. Often, no. Or at least not nearly as much as people think. You might spend $50,000 on a high-end kitchen remodel, but it might only add $25,000 to the resale value if you're lucky.
So you're actually losing money on the upgrade itself.
Frequently. People fall deep into the sunk cost fallacy. I've already put so much into this house, I have to keep improving it, even when it makes no financial sense. Emotion overrides logic.
That's a dangerous trap.
A very expensive one. This constant drain from upgrades driven by psychology rather than necessity is a huge hidden cost of ownership that renters simply avoid.
Okay, so all these costs, taxes, maintenance, insurance, utilities, upgrades, they add up to a massive amount over time.
A truly staggering amount, often.
Which brings us to opportunity cost. What you could have done with all that money instead.
Exactly. This is the core economic concept people miss. That huge down payment, tens or hundreds of thousands. And then all those ongoing costs year after year, that's capital.
Capital that's locked up in the house.
Locked up in a single illiquid asset. What if, instead, you had rented, avoided the down payment, saved money on the lower monthly costs and lack of repairs taxes?
And invested that difference.
Yes. What if that $50,000 down payment, plus maybe $500 or $1,000 saved each month, was put into a diversified investment portfolio? Stocks, bonds, index funds.
Over 20 or 30 years.
The power of compound interest takes over. That money could grow exponentially. Hundreds of thousands, potentially millions, depending on the amounts and returns.
Well, the homeowner's investment is just the house. Maybe appreciating, maybe not, but definitely costing a lot along the way.
Right. Homeownership forces you to concentrate your wealth massively into one asset class, residential real estate, in one specific location. That's the opposite of diversification, which is a cornerstone of sound investing.
So it's actually riskier.
From a pure investment perspective, often, yes. Renting allows you to spread your investments, reduce your risk, and potentially achieve much higher, more liquid returns over the long term.
It completely flips the script on the safe investment idea of a house.
It really does. And we haven't even quantified the time cost yet.
Right. All those weekends spent fixing things.
Mowing lawns, painting fences, researching plumbers, dealing with contractors. It's like a part-time job you don't get paid for.
Time you could be spending. Well, living. Hobbies, family, friends, learning new skills, starting a side business.
Exactly. Renters reclaim that time. That's an incredibly valuable non-financial return that rarely gets factored into the rent versus buy calculation. What's your time worth?
It's priceless, ultimately.
Right. So the true cost of ownership is far, far higher than just the mortgage payment.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about those modern superpowers of renting you mentioned, especially mobility.
Yeah, this is key in the 21st century. The world operates differently now.
How so?
Think back 50 years ago. People often worked for the same company for decades, lived in the same town their whole lives. Stability was the goal, and a house represented that.
Things were slower, more predictable.
Right. Today, careers are dynamic, often global. People switch jobs much more frequently. Opportunities can arise anywhere, anytime. Technology enables remote work. The whole landscape has shifted.
And being tied to a house.
Can be a major disadvantage. The ability to move quickly, to be agile, to adapt, that's incredibly valuable now. Mobility is a form of wealth.
We talked about the career example, moving for a job.
Let's flesh that out. Imagine Sarah, the software engineer we talked about, rents in Berlin, gets a great offer from a startup in Lisbon. She moves within weeks. Then a dream job in AI comes up in San Francisco, super expensive to buy there, but she finds a rental she loves, moves again.
Building her career experience network across continents.
Exactly. Her landlords in Berlin and Lisbon, they might have some equity, but they're stuck managing those properties. Sarah has built global career capital and likely significantly higher income because she could chase the best opportunities. Who's truly freer and wealthier in the long run?
Probably Sarah. Her career trajectory is likely much steeper.
And remote work just pours fuel on this fire. If your job isn't tied to a physical office, why tie yourself to an expensive house in a high cost of living area?
You could rent somewhere cheaper, save more money.
Or rent somewhere more interesting. Live by the beach for a year, try out mountain life, explore a different country, all while keeping your job and income. Renting enables that lifestyle design.
That's a powerful freedom. Choosing your life, not just your house.
Precisely. It's about prioritizing lifestyle and opportunity over property ownership.
And this ties into experiences too, right? Not just careers.
Absolutely. Renting can buy incredible experiential wealth. Think about it. You could rent an apartment in Paris for 6 months. Immerse yourself in the culture.
Ooh, nice.
Or spend a year living in a vibrant city like Bangkok or Mexico City. Or try living off-grid in a cabin for a summer. These kinds of life-enriching experiences are much, much harder to orchestrate if you're anchored by a house you need to sell or manage from afar.
So you trade potential long-term equity for immediate life experiences.
And what do we cherish more at the end of our lives? The equity statement from our house, or the memories of living abroad, exploring new places, having diverse experiences?
That's a good question to ask yourself.
It really is. And let's not forget the mental health aspect.
How does renting help there? Less stress?
Significantly less stress for many people. Owning comes with a constant low-grade or sometimes high-grade anxiety, property values fluctuating, interest rates changing, the fear of that next big repair bill, the weight of the mortgage.
It's a heavy mental load.
It really is. That cognitive load we talked about. Renters outsource most of that. Roof leak, call the landlord, market dips. Not really your problem financially. Furnace breaks. Someone else's responsibility to fix and pay for.
So it frees up mental bandwidth.
Exactly. Mental energy you can use for creativity, relationships, personal growth, or just peace of mind. Not constantly worrying about the house. That psychological freedom is incredibly valuable, maybe even more so than the financial freedom for some.
This really requires redefining success, doesn't it? Moving away from owning things is the main goal.
Absolutely. For generations, success was measured by possessions. The big house, the fancy car, it was very materialistic.
Or maybe that's outdated.
I think for many it is. We're arguing that true success in the modern world might be defined by freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom to choose your path, freedom to move, freedom to pursue opportunities, freedom to design a life aligned with your values, not just a mortgage payment.
That's a big shift.
It is, and it leads to a paradox. Sometimes flexibility is the new stability.
How does that work?
Think about it. If you own a house in a neighborhood that starts going downhill, or near a factory that becomes polluting, or if your job disappears locally, you're stuck. Selling might be difficult or result in a loss. That's instability.
Right, you're trapped.
But if you're renting, You can move. You can leave the declining neighborhood, escape the pollution, move to where the jobs are. That ability to adapt, to pivot, that's a more resilient form of stability in a changing world.
So your roots aren't necessarily in the soil under a house you own.
Exactly. Your roots can be in your relationships, your skills, your experiences, your values. You can build a strong community and a stable life as a renter, maybe even more effectively because you're not financially or geographically constrained.
And this rent versus own choice isn't forever, right?
Yeah.
It can change.
Absolutely critical point. It's not a permanent decision. What's right for you in your 20s, maybe mobility and career focus, might be different in your 40s with a family, perhaps prioritizing stability in one place if affordable, and different again in your 60s, maybe wanting to downsize, travel, and ditch maintenance burdens.
So you choose what fits your current life stage.
Yes. Don't lock yourself into a forever decision based on today's needs or yesterday's myths. Life changes. Your housing strategy can, and probably should, change with it. Renting gives you that built-in flexibility to adapt.
Okay, let's tackle that other big mantra head on. Your house is your greatest investment.
Ah, yes, the cornerstone of the ownership gospel.
Is it true?
For most people, frankly, no. It's not primarily an investment. It's a place to live. It's a consumption item.
A consumption item. Like a car.
In many ways, yes. A true investment is supposed to put money into your pocket or grow significantly more than its costs. Think dividend stocks, rental properties that you don't live in and that cash flow positively, successful businesses.
Things that generate income or appreciate substantially.
Right. But the house you live in, it mostly takes money out of your pocket. Mortgage interest, property taxes, insurance, utilities, repairs, maintenance, upgrades, it's a constant outflow.
But what about appreciation? Doesn't that make it an investment?
Appreciation can happen, yes, but it's not guaranteed. Real estate markets are cyclical. Prices can stagnate for years or even fall dramatically.
We've certainly seen that happen.
And crucially, even when houses do appreciate, that gain is often completely wiped out or severely diminished by all those costs we just talked about, especially interest paid, taxes, and maintenance over decades. People do this simple math. I bought for $200, sold for $400, I made $200, but they ignore the hundreds of thousands they poured into it along the way.
So the net gain is often much smaller or even negative when you account for everything.
Exactly. It's often more of a forced savings account with potentially modest, uncertain returns that also happens to cost a fortune to maintain. Calling it your greatest investment is usually a massive overstatement, if not completely inaccurate.
Which leads back to the opportunity for renters.
The renting and investing opportunity. This is where renting can become truly powerful financially if you're disciplined.
If you take the savings.
Yes. Renters avoid the huge down payment. They often have lower monthly housing costs, rent versus mortgage plus tax plus insurance plus maintenance. They avoid sudden massive repair bills. This frees up significant capital.
Capital that could be invested.
Could and should be, ideally. If you take that money, the down payment you didn't make, the monthly savings, the repair fund you don't need, and consistently invest it in diversified assets like low-cost index funds.
The results can be dramatic over time.
Hugely dramatic. We used the example earlier. Maybe $500 or $1,000 a month invested over 30 years at an average market return. You can easily end up with hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million.
Liquid wealth. Accessible wealth.
Exactly. Not tied up in an illiquid house. Real, flexible wealth that gives you options.
Let's revisit that tale of two families. Family A buys, Family B rents, and invests the difference.
Right. Family A buys for $300, puts $50K down, pays mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs for 30 years, ends up with a paid-off house maybe worth $600K, but very little else saved because the house ate up so much income.
House rich, cash poor.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, Family B rents a similar place, invests the $50 down payment immediately, saves maybe $800 a month compared to Family A's total housing costs, and invests that difference religiously every month for 30 years.
With average market returns.
They could easily have $1.5 million, maybe $2 million or more in their investment portfolio. Completely liquid. Plus, they had 30 years of flexibility and less stress.
So Family B ends up significantly wealthier and freer, even though they never owned their home.
It's a very plausible scenario, highlighting the power of disciplined investing over prioritizing home equity above all else. Renting enables this strategy.
It requires discipline, though. You have to actually invest the savings.
That's the crucial part. If you just rent and spend the difference, you won't come out ahead. But if you treat that saved money as an investment commitment, the long-term results can be far superior to ownership for many people.
This really forces us to question those engineered dreams you mentioned, the cultural narratives.
Yeah, the American dream or similar ideals worldwide, we need to recognize they were often promoted, even engineered, by entities that profit from them.
Banks, real estate industry, government.
They all have a vested interest in keeping the homeownership dream alive and well, regardless of whether it's the best financial move for every individual.
And they play on our psychology.
Absolutely. Fear of instability, keeping up with the Joneses, the emotional attachment to my own home, the illusion that a house equals security and wealth.
We need to separate emotion from math.
That's the core of true financial wisdom. Analyze the numbers for your specific situation. Consider the opportunity costs. Understand the real costs of ownership, value flexibility and time, and make a rational decision based on your life goals, not just societal pressure or emotional impulses.
It comes down to that balance, doesn't it? Roots versus wings.
Perfectly put. A house offers roots, stability, permanence, a physical anchor. Renting offers wings, freedom, flexibility, agility, the ability to explore and adapt.
Neither is inherently better. It depends on what you need and value at that point in your life.
Exactly. And knowing you can choose which one fits you now and that you can change that choice later, that's incredibly empowering. You're not locked in forever.
So wrapping this up, the next time someone hits you with that line, renting is just throwing money away.
You can smile politely.
Yeah, and remember what you're actually doing. You're not throwing money away. You are making an exchange, a valuable one.
You're buying freedom, you're buying flexibility, you're buying options, you're buying peace of mind from unexpected costs and maintenance headaches.
And you're buying the opportunity to build real liquid wealth through disciplined investing, potentially far exceeding what you'd gain through home equity alone.
It's a conscious trade-off, and for many, it's the smarter trade.
Okay, final thought then. Something for our listeners to chew on.
Right. In this world where everything seems to be constantly changing, the economy, technology, job markets, our own lives, and where real wealth often comes from having options and freedom, ask yourself this: what does home truly mean to you?
Is it about the physical structure? The deed with your name on it?
Or is it more about the feeling? The peace of mind, the flexibility to live where and how best suits you right now, the freedom from financial stress, the ability to pursue your dreams. Is home about the life you build, the experiences you have, whether you rent the walls or own them? What truly defines that feeling of security and belonging for you in the 21st century? Is it ownership or is it freedom?
That's a powerful question to ponder. This has been a fascinating deep dive, really challenging some fundamental assumptions.
Hopefully liberating for some listeners too.
I think so. Thanks for listening to this episode of FinFlow Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode.